Dash Podcast. I'm your host, Big Country.
This is Coach B. What's going on? What's popping?
You know, it's the barbershop meets the therapy chair, and what we talk about real issues that affect the people, right? Especially dads, parents, kids, society, whether it's sports, whether it's raising your child, whether it's relationships, whether it's... just add a topic, man. We can talk about it.
Yeah,
That's the one thing that, like, if you ever been to a barbershop and you know it, we talk, like, people assume, I have to set this up, right? Because I like to explain this from time to time. People assume that men go to the barbershop, we just talk shit about women.
And sports.
And sports. But nah, we'll talk about everything. We'll talk about how, a mother has to take their child into the, get the haircut, and we're like, where the hell's dad at, man? Like, this should be a dad moment. Like, we'll talk shit about people, and and we may not even be taking care of our own children, but we'll have an opinion about that. So this is where we're at, right? We're in season 2. We just want to bring content that's enjoyable, but also we'll be able to teach, help. Maybe you'll listen to this and be like, damn, I'm going through that same thing, or damn, I was trying to figure that out.
Or not just, don't forget to add this. This is therapy for us too. For my trauma.
Yeah, this is therapy for me. This is also trying not to get in trouble for sharing information that may or may not indict me when I get home. But it's also entertainment. It's comedy. Because if you can't laugh at your own pain, then, and laughter is more enjoyable, burns more calories, strengthens more muscles than frowns and anger.
Yep.
Right? So we're just trying to keep people afloat until they figure things out. All right, so this is where we're at. And today, this topic, I wanted to call it "Whoop Your Child's Ass."
Or
that's what I wanted to call it, "Whoop Your Child's Ass."
But the title that you sent me was "Discipline Your Kid Before Somebody Else Has to."
And that's what we went with.
Yep.
Discipline your child before somebody else has to. Okay. It may sound weird. If you hear buzzing in the background, I can't control the outer people that are leaf blowing and doing their yard work, but we'll try the best we can.
Yep.
If you hear a little buzz in the background, just understand this is real.
And I got a list over here, Brian.
All right, so listen, discipline your child before somebody else has to. It was something that I thought about when I beat my son's ass one day. And when I say this on here, he's 18 now, so thank you, DCF. Leave me the hell alone. I'll work for you. In my house, we call them beatings. Beatings, in other people's house, they call them spankings. Okay? I'm not talking about jumping on somebody and punching them in their face 30, 40 times. That's abuse.
Yes.
I had to beat my son. Because he just was totally disrespectful to me and my wife one day. And so I gave it some time. Gave it like an hour or two. My wife was like, "You better than me." I already told him 30 times. That was his warning. But I always like to go and talk to my kids afterwards.
Yep.
Right? And I had a conversation with him. And he asked me a serious question. "Dad, why do you hit me?" And I said, "Look, son, I love you." Right? And I wanted to get biblical with him, spare the rod, spoil the child. But I said, "Look, I love you. And would you rather me pop you a couple times to let you know versus the person walking down the street who doesn't give a shit about you if you live or you die?"
And it's funny you said the biblical aspect too, because all my life I've always thought spare the rod, spoil the child, this, that, and the other thing, that you have to use physical discipline towards your kids, right? But when I was doing the research on this and that scripture popped up in my mind, I replaced rod with the word discipline.
Oh yeah. And so I explained this to him, but I said, "Listen, how many times have we put our hands on you? Like, if you can count on both hands in your 18 years of experience on earth, and you maybe gotten it 5 or 6 good times, you may got a little, like,
little tap
pop,
here and there,
a little pop on your wrist, like, don't touch that, not at the dinner table, things like that. That's fine. But I think as parents mature, you will also discover that a lot of times even spankings can be avoided through self-discipline, first modeling behavior yourself. And what I say about modeling behavior is be about what you say you're about, because that do as I say, not as I do bullshit doesn't work.
Doesn't work. Nope.
Okay? My grandfather used to smoke and drink, and the only thing I ever wanted to do when I was growing up was taste what the drink tastes like, because it must have looked exciting. Right? Like, So the idea is that as you mature as a parent, as a child matures, there has to be a maturity level. A lot of times I've realized when you put your hands on a child, it's A, because you let it go too far, mm-hmm. or B, because that's what was done to you, mm-hmm. or C, because whatever's going on in your life mm-hmm. is stressing you out, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back. But that's how a child is supposed to act.
But let me add one more to it. Look, the child done crossed the line that you firmly put your foot in the sand on.
Oh, and that's the good one. That's the
good one, because
snot's coming out your nose.
Because
that's a good sleep after that.
Because there's been times where my son, 19 years old, about to turn 20 and everything, and he reminded me this a while ago. And he was like, he said he'd never forget it. 1 week he was just off the hook, and then one day I had to get him, because I warned him. I told him what was going to happen.
Yes.
Told him what was going to happen. He tested the boundaries, so I had to push him back behind the boundaries and everything. And he said to this day, and me and my son just had this conversation just this summer. He said, when that happened, I knew from that point going forward, when you said something and this would be the consequences behind it, I didn't want to have to deal with it, so I knew I better act right.
Listen, I'm going to tell you something right now. You can ask my son and my daughters this. I walk by them sometimes and just give them that little, like, I have to explain it because we're not on camera for mm-hmm. this one. But, like, you know, that little, like, where you fake, like, you about to hit them.
You flinch at them?
And when they flinch, I'm like, okay, I still got it.
Yeah.
Because, listen, my kids know. Like, I've removed, I'm going to give you a beating with, I'm going to punch you in your throat.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm going to punch you right in your throat. Yep. You stop breathing for 30 seconds. Mm-hmm. It's not going to kill you. I'm not going to, I'll chop it. You know? If you lose that breath for that second, you'll understand real quickly.
Yep.
Stop. And I'm going to say it. I'm sorry for those people that don't like cussing. Stop fucking with me.
Yep.
Right? Because sometimes kids don't understand. I don't as an adult sometimes. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I'll mess around with my wife and fool around and she'll be like, all right, that's enough now. Mm-hmm. I'm like, no. Mm-hmm. And I get into, you forget, you get in that comfort zone and you go too far. Mm-hmm. And she's like, look, you want to sleep up here tonight or you want to sleep downstairs? All right, I got you. See, like, you know what I'm saying? But you have to be, that's that discipline. That's that understanding.
It's funny you bring it up. Remember I told you I have a list over here.
Oh, yeah.
And part of in that list talks about if you do not discipline your kids, they will not have any boundaries.
Oh, yeah. And listen, here's another thing. Here's a big thing, and this definitely comes from, and I love my parents, but this comes from my upbringing, but it also comes from me, my wife and I communicating about discipline. And the one thing I said is I'll never be a paper tiger parent or teacher or coach. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to follow through.
Yep.
Because if I just keep on threatening, little Johnny in the grocery store acting up should have been beat 20 minutes ago.
Yep.
Stop giving him more chances. Take his ass out. Like, bring him out of the store. Leave your grocery cart there and bring him out because it's embarrassing.
Yep.
It's not just embarrassing for him. It's embarrassing for you as a parent because you look like you have no control.
Yep.
And so one of the reasons why we wanted to do this podcast was because I said to myself, what does discipline look like? Not just when we were growing up, because we know what discipline looks like when we were growing up. Right? And and I fool around and I say, parents, whoop your kid's ass. But you could always tell which parent has beat their child. That good one. Because they all automatically know when you cut your eye at them, or you look at them and go, yo, how many more times? They're like, all right, it's real now.
I call it the death look. Yeah. My pops used to give it to me.
Because you could tell the kids that have no, like, there's no discipline. You could tell. You could. It's crazy. You could tell, listen, I'll share the story, then I'll let you get to your list. My son and daughters, we were in Stop and Shop. No, ShopRite, right? And we were walking down the aisle, and this kid was throwing stuff at his mom. And my son, my youngest daughter must have been 5, Sierra. Isaiah was, I think, 8, and Shanice had to be, I think she was like a freshman in high school. And they all looked at me and go, when is she going to beat him? Because that's not okay. And in that moment, I realized my wife and I are doing a good job. Because they can recognize in other kids that certain behaviors are just not okay.
Acceptable, exactly.
In private, you got to do what you got to do. In public, though, that's not acceptable. That's not how we act. And my son goes, he got too many chances. Because, Isaiah got to have something to say.
Exactly.
He was 100% right. And, it's sad when a 5 and 8-year-old can pick that out. So, all right. Let's talk about it. Go ahead.
All right. Now, this list that I came up with, some of the stuff on here is just, we all know what's going to happen. But there's a few things on these lists that I have that I didn't put it together as far as what lack of discipline can do. Okay? So, what many parents who are reluctant to discipline their children may not understand is how damaging it can be for a child to lack boundaries. Without discipline, children will be deficient in important life skills, including the following. We all know this. They will be more likely to engage in negative behaviors that are harmful and eventually potentially dangerous to themselves as well as others. They will be unhappy. I never really put that part together. They would be willful, selfish, and generally unpleasant company. We experienced that. Of course, they will lack self-control. They will not have the social skills that are important for making friends, such as empathy, patience, and knowing how to share. We just discussed that they will not know what appropriate behavior is. This is the part that gets me, and this is one thing I will not tolerate from my son or my daughter. They will not respect their parents or other authoritative figures. And the one that I added this part to the list. They would face the world's disciplines, and the world's discipline is not designed to be friendly. By design, is not friendly.
Well, I'll give you an example. And what you just said, they'll have to face the world's discipline. This is something that you know. So, being that my child is half black, and I'm white, it's kind of nerve-wracking. Just from my perspective, that I had to give my son a conversation about, listen, the world's not going to treat you the way they treat me. They're going to have less patience and tolerance for somebody that looks like you. And I'm basically saying, listen, a lot of white people are going to look at you as a threat. They don't know you as a person. They don't know what type of person you are, but a lot of white people are going to look at you as a threat, especially the police and people in authority. And so little Johnny over there could be fooling around and throwing stuff in the class, but if you laugh, you're getting in trouble. Yep. Because you're out of control. And so, having that conversation with my son, then seeing all the nonsense, like the Trayvon Martin thing, I wore a hoodie and Skittles, and I got followed home, got shot, right? You see all these things, Mike Brown, right? And then George Floyd. And it kind of comes to fruition. You see all these times I told you have to learn how to stop, because you may not get a second stop. Right, you're not getting to taking the Burger King after you shoot somebody. Nope. You're just getting shot for having a toy gun. Yep, right? Exactly. And I could point to 30 or 40 experiences just in the past 20 years that proves it. Right, you had that dude that walked into the black church in South Carolina, shot everybody up, then they brought him to Burger King. Right? Did they give Trayvon Martin that? No. He didn't even get a chance to get Burger King. He had to buy his own snack. Okay? And I'm not saying every single situation in police officers, that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that it's proof, there's actual evidence, overwhelming evidence to support that the biases that people have are directly related to the discipline that they hand out.
And the thing is, the reason why I stress so much discipline, especially with my son being a young black male and everything like that too, goes exactly what you were saying. If he acts up or he shows lack, he's not going to get that second chance. He's not going to get that benefit of the doubt. And it's basically, and I hate to say this, that we have to put a label on, they have to be damn near perfect. And even then, that still might not save their life.
Yeah, if a white child has to be 80%, you have to be 95, right? And that's
or even like, okay, I'm going to give you classes, but like last year when I'm doing my mentoring program and everything like that, and one of the sessions I had was how to deal with the police and everything. But it turned into more of a session, how to deal with authority figures, period. And the one thing, and you see this all the time, Brian, this generation of kids, black, white, Hispanic, I don't care what you say, have no respect for authority figures whatsoever.
Nah, they don't.
I said, and it's
they're not fearful of it. I was fearful of going to jail. Like, I was like, listen, I have people around me that have gone to jail for things that they should have gone to jail for.